Hello?
Hi
Hey.
there.
Oh, how are you?
Okay.
It's
Um,
wonderful to be joining with you right now.
I'm glad you're here. We seem to have a hard time connecting.
Oh, you think so? I'm like super no, I'm good, thank you. I'm like super thrilled to have connected with you.
Okay.
Yes. I've been
Well,
hoping for a long time actually.
I don't know a whole lot about you. Do you go by Amy or Amelia or both?
That's an interesting question. Okay, both, but my I was named Amy and I just, for some reason in my 20s, just went, whenever I wrote or thought of myself, I thought of myself as Amelia. And I moved like from here to a different place, and that was like my name there too. So just recently, because I verified my Meta account, I turned it back to Amy, and I'm not too freaked out about it anymore. It like used to weird me out for some reason. Like, if people some people call me that still, but yeah, I don't know if I'm like, it's weird because I'm not sure if it's okay to have a nickname where you add letters to it. So I feel kind of weird about that part. But
Well, I don't know. The name I go by is just a shortened version of my long name. But you can do whatever you want, I think.
I love that about you when you're like that's something that I've really been learning um from you is like to do well, to want the right things and then to do the things to make sure they happen.
Oh.
Um yes. And it's inspiring to me. I remember seeing your Picasso video. My daughter and I had just gotten back from the Chicago one that we went to see when he was, and that was the first time I think I was ever introduced to you. And I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, or a little bit later, not the first, but I was really touched by it. And I was like, something, this is, somebody I really hope to meet. But I think I just steered down a different
Okay. You got a cute little burp there. Um, I'm wondering, like I do with everyone, what steered you toward poetry and about how old were you?
I began writing poetry. I began writing poetry immediately upon talking, like really that I can remember my whole life. In some way, shape, or form, there was a creative expression in me. And what steered me to stay in the lane of poetry is I played the piano. And I remember my piano teacher submitted one of my poems about recitals to Clavier magazine, and they published it. So that was my experience with poetry. Um,
How old
and
were,
but
how, how old were you when that happened?
wow, when that happened, I was little. I was in elementary school. So I would say I was approximately like 10 years old.
First
And
publication at 10. Okay.
yeah, yeah, thank you. I know. I didn't really know like, exactly what that meant, but it's something that happened. And then it, there were things that occurred. I mean, I think a lot of us have things that occur in our life that we don't necessarily speak for. So I wrote a lot about things that I was feeling, and poetry was always just one of the more effective ways that I had out of a few of them.
Hmm.
Yes. And then I ended up I mean I wrote, okay, so my principal was actually I've had some like pretty like severe things that have happened, but like writing has always been it's been a pathway, not just through it, but also I've noticed now coming back to yourself again and then reinventing yourself because you can look upon that past that sometimes you can forget. So it's been like that for me. And I can't imagine myself not writing once I began writing. Um again, but I mean, like, I didn't write actual good poetry like when I was like, knee high to a grasshopper. I would say that I began really concentrating on my work as work when I was 21 approximately.
Have you read it at a lot of places?
Yes, I have. I I've read a lot at Linneman's River West End here, which is a really nice poetry place that um well, it's a lot of things, but it also is a poetry place. So I've read there more features, and then I have worked the open mic circuit, I should say, like all over that I can. Milwaukee, I did go to Chicago. I went there 3 times. I was in Detroit once, and then I also traveled to Connecticut for a Beat Poetry Festival in 2007. And then I traveled to Ohio to perform in 2008 and then to perform in 2008 there as well. So, and yes, and then just recently, I went to Kentucky last summer, to perform with people again. And it was super amazing to do so. And then, excuse me for skipping them, but then obviously there are the events with the NBPF that mean a lot and help keep that going.
Mhm.
Right. Be
So,
involved.
what years were you Beat Poet Laureate for? Was it Wisconsin?
Yeah. 2020 through 2022. And so, and it means so much to me. Like, the whole it really shaped so much of my life, from 2008 with Connecticut. I went there, I was still married at the time, like with my husband. And it was before a lot of things occurred, but yeah. But anyways, so but I left and I took, you're right, and I went to Collingwood Arts Center in Ohio, which is 2 states away. Pretty drastic now that I look back, like, wow, like that was brave, and that, you must have been in your 20s, and I was. But that's kind of why when I speak, I do so, I think, in segments, like go time. You know what I mean? Like that was that part. And then this one was this one because I didn't feel free to be of I did not feel freedom of expression then. Exactly. I must not have, or I wouldn't have said that. Um I'm not sure exactly, well, as to why
Well,
it is. Yeah.
at the Collingwood Arts Center, is that a place where you live and create?
Yes, that's what was so exciting. I was offered by Michael Grover and John Dorsey, who I met in Connecticut at BeatFest. Um, they invited me to come to Collingwood Arts Center for a poetry feature. While I was there, I learned that it is an art center that people live at, and the head director at the time invited me to apply, and I was so stoked, and I was like instantly that driven to do that. And there was just a little bit of hesitation, I guess, to put it nicely. My family did not want me to, and I guess that's the first time that I've ever done anything really that was totally opposite of what people would have probably thought I would have done. I was married, we owned a home, we have 2 children, type of thing. But yes, that's what it is. So it's an art center, but it has studios that you can live in.
So, how long were you there?
2 years. I was there from 2008, but it was like December, I believe. Through I got I got pregnant from an event in 2011. I stopped going there, and I
Uh,
actually left yes, and I left. Well, I went back, but there was a lot of changes at that time of like period as far as their who they had. running the place, and they were going through an evolution. I was going through an evolution. Um, and my other children, it really wasn't a place for like little ones. They politely told me they couldn't tell me not to have my kid, but you know what I mean? It really wasn't for that. So I would leave, and then I'd be gone like for 48 hours a week and then come back. And I couldn't do that when I was pregnant. I couldn't, obviously. So that was when I stopped going there shortly after that.
And
Mm.
how many children?
I have 4
Wow.
children. Yes, and it shapes a lot of who I am. This is my children and the situation there. My oldest daughter, Sophia, she is in college for psychology, and she's very happy as far as for her being herself right now. And then my son River, he just turned 18, unbelievably, in January, and he's going on to college, and he's going to be a teacher. And then I have 2 younger children, Gabriel and Lyric, who I was referring to becoming pregnant with, who were taken from me, and I don't agree with it at all. And
Your
yeah,
husband, your ex-husband then.
no, this
Oh,
was from I was raped.
oh,
And yeah, and well, but before that, there was just like this person in my life, who was not necessarily a monster, and I think they deserve to know that. Um, they deserve to know a lot of their history. But I learned that there were data leaks during that time frame for sensitive crimes, and it's ridiculous because they never charged him for that. Um, and then he committed homicide. And then they took my kids away from me. And I felt like I do still feel like that's a cover up for that.
oh my goodness. It's pretty complicated. So he didn't take your children away. It was something else.
Right. My husband and I had stopped, like we were co-parenting, but we were definitely we have not lived together since I went to Collingwood. Um, and I also had staff in between that, so that's partially why for our kids not to get it. But this was somebody that I met through my work, and he, was clearly not healthy, and they had there's something deranged about this family, like it was a crime family type thing. And I'm really naive, and I had 2 children with this person. And I called the police when I was 4 months pregnant with Gabriel, my first son of his, and these are River and Sophia's brothers. It's not like they're separated by anything. And being legally married, they are that, quite honestly, they were for a while. I learned later. However, it was very hard because I didn't do anything wrong. And I don't feel like I received any of the appropriate aid. In fact, I know I didn't. And then he ended, when they left me alone more than once, when I, called, it made me question everything about like the way the police should respond to domestic violence. I mean, I've had things said to me that I know, like, I need to be like undone. I understand that they're false. But the final straw was when he, that person became very unwell, and he did rape me, and I called the police. They came and they left me there. So when they took him, so anyways, he ended up committing homicide. Yes. So here I had been telling them that this man is dangerous for several years on the record, and they didn't do anything about it until then. He had already been in prison. Yeah. So it is a very private story, but it's one that is fuels my writing and my personality a lot too.
Well, the person that he killed, was it somebody that you were close to, or just somebody completely a
It
stranger?
was absolutely 100% completely bonzo, like random.
Oh,
Yeah, it's super weird, but he was charged with first degree intentional homicide, and he was still, I mean, it was torture, so it was on the front page of every paper. My family, just like there are people that I was disowned in certain ways. Um, it was just very hard to live after that, and I feel like being given any type of assistance would have been nice. People to notice like I'm traumatized from that, from a lot of things with him, but that as well. I'm sorry, but it was actually the vulture that came after him. You know how that happens? Like it's not like just one that really sealed that deal. But I'm working. What's important to me is visits. We have visits, legally speaking, um, and she just has not shown up for them since November 2019. So we had to go back to court, and once in 2018 paid for them to tell her again that we had to have visits, for River and Sophia more so than for me. That's their brother, Gabriel and Eric. Like we didn't, seriously, and she just didn't come. And they kind of left that open. And I feel like they're just kind of prodding me along. I had an attorney, but
so your children were given to another group as foster children, or to another person?
yes, the state took them. They took custody of them after one of the people that was acquaintance to, I wouldn't say friends with, but was acquaintance to the person that had harmed me, had come into my life. I called 911. I didn't know this person personally, and again there was like a situation where there it's almost like you wish that you hadn't called. They took my kids. When that occurred, it was like by then you're kind of on a domestic violence, like, is she safe enough to take care of her own family type chain. I understand that. um but they should have made sure I was, and or helps me in some way. um and then so basically, yes, it was after that they were taken. Interestingly enough, though, the person that was the criminal action there where it ended knows Bobby, and there is a clear link there. There has to be, and I don't think it's okay. I just don't think it's okay at all.
So you've had a rough time you still having a rough time if you're trying to see your kids and having trouble doing
Yeah.
it. So it's been a rough so many years. And did you write much poetry during this time? Is it one thing that kept you sane,
Yeah.
or
Yes. It's the only way that I started getting selective mutism almost, and intruder syndrome and stuff. And so like I made myself like become more active this year. Like it was very like, right, everything was like much a decision. And but because I feel that it's very important to express what happened in as many ways as I can, to as many people as I can, in ways that I needed to hear, and also just to get it out of me, but to keep it within me as well, because I'm not stopping. Like I need to remember, like, let me, continue trying to get the visits, like, and it's empowering. Um, and then to meet other people who are activists and who care about civil rights, it surprises me. And then I cared about my civil. I mean, I already care about other people's civil rights. Isn't that weird how that works? But like they had Bobby, the person that did that to me, at my trial, quote unquote, when they questioned me about my children. I couldn't think it up. I'm staring at him. I had not seen him since he had assaulted me. So it was just really like, yeah, it is a hard time. And yes, poetry has been one of the things. No, you know what? It is what saved my life, because Belinda, I wrote on Facebook live to keep myself alive, like to stay safe. And I forget about that until I see those posts. And it's like, right, I give my location. I was tagging like my brother. It was pretty intense, and it was kind of like, oh, you know, when there was war, we do go to social media, but they had already had my iCloud account, so that's pretty much what got me in trouble there. I didn't know the location services and stuff. Yeah.
Well, do you have some poems ready to read for us? And if you need to or want to, you can give us a little background info, just whatever you think for each piece.
Okay, I hope I wasn't depressing there.
No, thank you so much for
I
entrusting
feel
us with this
okay.
knowledge.
Okay, thank you. I like to keep things, right. I also love to make music and play piano and sing, so I think that's helpful. But this poem is called With Emphasis, and this is what I have been doing lately. And it's about the woman creating, becoming a woman. Make sure this is one I like about it. Actually, let me just okay. I'll start with this piece on the background information being that I did not at the time have a person in mind, but I felt like it was a reflection, projection, reflection later on. And it's called Namesake. She no longer tries to convince herself that this is wedded bliss, no longer hides bruises with pancake foundation. She will not lie to herself, nor hide from him his trophies. At 19, her mother had told her she was lucky to have found this man. Now, 12 years into her prize, mother rarely calls. Too busy living that unlucky divorce life on some fancy Florida beach. She cooks, makes sure the steak is rare to his liking, musing as he stabs the meat with cutting knife how many nights she has stood by their bedside, willing it sharp enough to slay sleeping dragons, interrupted to pass the salt. He never apologizes, does not bring flowers like those in daytime dramas. No. Instead, he glares at the mess and she cleans it up, picks up shards of broken spirits spilt like toothpaste in the sink. She would never leave. The world not enough big. Even in dreams, she wears her apron tight. Yet some solace her fingers find daily, as numbly they break open secret stash of birth control pills. There will be no sons to carry on his namesake.
Thank you.
Thank you. This piece is okay. I'm like trying to find the back to it. Okay, here we go. Subsidized love. Subsidized love is not the only middle class, nor dream, nor unhappiness that housewives can count on. On making homes along with her children, the gas tank at an eighth, the scale, life expectancy waning, 300 in bank, 4 ones, and son's piggy bank about to make ultimate sacrifice. With the clock nearing time to have dinner ready, now takeout en route. Task the tulips to be rigid and beautiful instead. Waiting outside for a taxi or anyone else to come for her to drive crazy, but not away. Smoking a cigarette and turning a found runaway penny dirty, but a good omen against her sin. as she slides it where no one will see or care to. Much less expensive now. Beat poetic, heartbreaking, lonely, friendless, and chubby. She tries not to look her shadow in the eye or her daughter, except with practiced tone and the usual words that fall predictable as the cheap diner special of the day. No surprises or reasons to feel, just the usual, everything's already all right. Stale popcorn, but still bread. And then I have two more, if that's okay. Thank you. This piece, this quite important to me, is called With Emphasis, and I feel like it is what I'm going through beautifully at this time frame, thankfully. Okay. Okay. With emphasis. Silken bulb and short on sky. I wrap myself around my becoming a woman viciously, the same way I did so when I insisted with other females bared of human to carry the fork of snake, the tongue of poetic grace, the root of bears where I rummage. I rummage when you think I'm sleeping. Honor sacred paw and palms, molasses tapped. I ask, how do I birth from this? It is not about birth. It is about living. It's about living. It's about living. And oh, it hurts. The pain is unbearable, which is why I thank my nerves for the information. I leave my skin in a coil, my pale sin outside, bloody, victimized, ignored, and obvious. I was translucent to stained glass. Growing pains hurt, guided, left leaped, heavy leaded, sprinting, leaping pistols, choke seedlings, pushing with guide the going through. Just as Venus rains glass without asking, like that, I am woman becoming sharp, prismatic, and stained with emphasis. I'll wrap around my becoming a woman and rejoice with each beak of wingspan, every break of goddess, each yellow guttural. Alleluia. Thank you. And then finally, I have this piece. I didn't have the other part for that, but it worked out. Okay. This one is called Nevada Dry, Sobriety and F sharp. I wrote this about it was inspired to write this upon meeting a poet, but just not personally about them. The allure of a cactus is partially in its seemingly impossible flower blooms, more so in its milk-bearing body, needing not an infant, a lover, nor any other to understand thirst, and mostly its beautiful, precise spikes, that the ones that seem to yell, stay away, I've been rubbed the wrong way. I've hurt, but I am not hollow. A prickly plant, older, bit rough, raw, chewed a bit, spit out the young one, as if it were watermelon seeds for a full moon, not asking for much, needing less, sagging a little jagged like the mountain, all spirit and soul, vertical and stretching to that it may not believe in, but still keeps on and reaches anyhow.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Amy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to share anything with you. I hope that you like what I shared.
Yes, yes, it's nice to get to know you a little bit better.
It's so nice to get to know you a bit better. And like I'm mostly about I'm really into like community collaborations and creative collaborations and positive collaborations. So when we were talking on that subject earlier, I was like, this is difficult to talk about because it doesn't define me. And I think that's something that a lot of us sometimes feel when we go through those different role models as women, because we're like accordions sometimes. We
Right,
expand and then we de-expand. So I
right.
thank you so much for coming and doing some origami cranes with me.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. We'll
Mhm.
see you again soon. Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.